Can you believe it? When the HOA dared to bulldoze my family's sacred land for their fancy schmancy luxury resort, they had no clue I'd been scheming for months, laying the sneakiest, most perfect trap imaginable. Oh, they took my bait hook, line and sinker, like fish too greedy to see the net closing in. But how on earth did I twist their own selfish greed into the sweetest, most triumphant victory our little neighborhood had ever witnessed? Let me take you back to that heart-wrenching moment it all began. Picture me standing at my rusty old mailbox, the sharp sting of a paper cut slicing my finger as I tore open that official HOA letter. Ouch. But trust me, that tiny prick was nothing compared to the gut punch of the words inside. After review of community boundaries, your back acre has been reclassified as common property, it declared in cold, black ink. I read it twice, my hands trembling like leaves in a storm. That land wasn't just dirt. It had been in my family for 3 whole generations. Can you imagine the nerve? Fury boiling in my chest, I stormed straight to Eleanor Winter's house, our new HOA president, with her pristine garden that practically screamed perfection, and that smug, too perfect smile plastered on her face. She flung open her door in sleek workout clothes, her annoyance radiating like heat waves. "Can I help you, David?" she asked, her tone dripping with fake sweetness. "This letter says you're taking my land. There's gotta be some mistake, right?" I said, desperately trying to keep my voice from cracking. Eleanor's smile didn't even flicker up to her icy eyes. "No mistake," she shot back. "Our professional survey proves your grandfather's hand-drawn maps were incorrect. The board voted unanimously last night. Without telling me?" I practically shouted. "I've been paying taxes on that land for 15 years. She just flicked her gaze to her manicured nails. "Can you believe the gall?" And said, "The HOA bylaws don't require notification for property corrections. We're planning a wonderful resort-style pool there. Everyone will benefit, even you, even me. Was she serious?" I opened my mouth to argue, my heart racing, when boom, music exploded from next door, the Morgan's yard erupting like a rock concert. Eleanor's fake smile morphed into something real, and she chirped, "I should go. Tyler and Samantha are hosting the neighborhood welcome party. You should come. It might help you adjust to the changes." Adjust? To losing my family's legacy? I trudged home, the music growing louder with every step, pounding in my ears. Peeking through the fence, I saw Tyler and Samantha laughing with their buddies by their shiny new pool built way too close to our property line. If you ask me, suspicious much? That night, sleep was a distant dream. The bass thumped relentlessly until 1:00 a.m. Thump, thump, thump. I called Tyler twice, my phone practically burning my hand, but no answer, shocker. At 1:15, I couldn't take it anymore and marched over, pounding on their door. Tyler answered, red-faced and clutching a beer, looking like he'd just run a marathon. "Hey man, party's over. What's up?" he slurred. "It's almost 1:30, I snapped. "Some of us work tomorrow." Samantha popped up behind him, smirking. "We stopped the music right at 1, checked the bylaws. The noise is still loud." I cut in, my patience fraying. Tyler jumped in. Eleanor said we're good until 1. "Not our problem if you can hear people talking." I took a deep, shaky breath. "Calm down, David," and asked, "Speaking of Eleanor, did you know about this HOA plan for my back acre?" Their guilty faces screamed, "Yes, you did. You knew they were stealing my land." "Not stealing," Samantha corrected, all high and mighty, reallocating. "The resort will have a lap pool for serious swimmers, cabanas, a cocktail bar." "On my property," I fired back. Tyler just shrugged. "It's not personal. Eleanor showed us the real property lines. Your grandfather's maps were wrong." "Wrong? My grandpa?" Back home, sleep still dodged me like a sly fox. I hauled Grandpa's old wooden chest down from the attic, dust flying everywhere as I yanked it open. Inside, Those original property documents glowed like gold, yellowed with age and history. I spread them out on the kitchen table under the flickering lamp, my eyes darting between them and the modern survey. Eleanor had stapled to her letter. Something was off, way off. Grandpa's boundaries hugged natural landmarks, the winding creek, the majestic old oak tree, the rugged rocky ridge. The HOA map? It ignored all that, slicing straight lines that chopped off my most breathtaking acre like it was nothing. Then I spotted it tiny writing in the corner of Grandpa's deed I'd never noticed before, referencing county survey markers from 1952. Could they still be out there? A plan sparked in my mind. Oh yes, this could work. But I couldn't do it alone, no way. I scrolled through my phone contacts until I hit James Jacobson, a surveyor Dad trusted years ago. I texted him at 3 a.m. Crazy. Right. My fingers shaking with hope. The next morning, I called in sick to work, my stomach in knots, and sped to the county records office. My cousin Vince worked there, and I needed those original surveys pronto. These HOA people, Vince grumbled as we sifted through dusty files, sneezing like mad. They're getting bolder every year. Ah, here it is. The 1952 survey shone like a beacon, proving my property stretched farther than I'd ever dreamed. The creek had shifted after a flood in the 70s, but property lines don't dance with nature. Ha! My phone buzzed. Eleanor. Community announcement. Groundbreaking for Pinecrest Resort begins Tuesday. Please clear any personal items from the designated area. Tuesday? That's 5 days. My heart raced as I drove home, passing the Morgan house. Workers were rigging up an even bigger speaker system by their pool seriously, and Tyler waved like we were best buds. That afternoon, Jacobson rolled up with his gear, his eyes gleaming. Let's find those original markers, he said. If they're still there, the HOA's in deep trouble, oh boy, are they. We slaved until sunset, hiding behind my shed like spies, sweat dripping down our backs. Under thick, overgrown grass, Jacobson's metal detector beeped jackpot. The first marker. His eyebrows shot up. According to this, your property extends another 50 feet that way, which includes part of the Morgan's new pool. What? We uncovered 3 more markers before dark, each one screaming Grandpa was right, my land was bigger than I'd ever tended. There's more, Jacobson whispered, pointing to the ridge. The Geological Survey from the 50s tags this as a potential archaeological site. Native American artifacts were found here in the 40s. My jaw dropped. I'd heard Grandpa's tales of arrowheads and pottery shards. Were they true? What does that mean legally? I asked, breathless. If confirmed, it could trigger a historical preservation review. No development allowed, he said. No way could this be my ace? That night, another party roared next door, but I just grinned. Enjoy it while it lasts, folks. My doorbell chimed at 8:00 p.m. And there stood Rose Thompson, my 80-year-old neighbor from across the street, holding a steaming casserole. Thought you might need some dinner with all that commotion next door, she said, her voice warm as pie. I invited her in, spilling my guts about everything. Rose listened, her wise eyes locked on mine, then said, Eleanor's been pulling these tricks for years. She forced the Hendersons out last summer with fake violations. Their house is her daughter's now. Why doesn't anyone stop her? I demanded, stunned. Fear. She's pals with the mayor's wife. But her eyes sparkled. I taught high school history for 40 years and volunteered at the county museum. I know a thing or two about archaeological preservation. Oh, do I ever. As Rose headed out, she paused at the door. This land means something to you, doesn't it? Beyond just property value. I pictured Grandpa teaching me to fish in the creek, Dad hammering together my treehouse under the old oak. It's my history, I choked out. Then fight for it, she said, simple and strong. In bed, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Meeting tomorrow, 7 a.m., Eleanor's house. bringing contractors to mark pool placement on your acre. Don't tell David. Wait, they meant someone else. My heart thudded. They weren't waiting for Tuesday. I set my alarm for 5:00 a.m. I'd be ready. Oh, yes, I would. I jolted awake before sunrise, chugging coffee like it was life itself, nerves buzzing. Jacobson pulled up in an unmarked truck, gear stashed under tarps like we were on a secret mission. If we're right about those markers, he whispered as we worked in the gray dawn. The HOA survey missed nearly 2 acres of your land. Dew drenched my jeans as we hammered flags into the earth, right where Grandpa's deed pointed. Each stake boosted my courage. Bam, bam, bam. The last marker stabbed through the corner of Tyler and Samantha's fancy new deck. Oh, the irony. They built that deck last month, I told Jacobson, smirking. Convenient timing. Not just convenient, he fired back. Checking his GPS county permits show they built it after the HOA's new survey, almost like they knew the new boundary. He handed me his tablet, the report glaring back. The HOA survey ignored the creek's original path before the 1978 flood. No professional would mess that up accidentally, he said. Oh, they were caught now. As the sun peaked higher, vehicles rumbled closer. Hide the gear, I hissed. Let's see what they're up to. From behind my garden shed, we spied Eleanor sweeping in with 3 board members and a landscaping crew, all giggles and spray paint, marking out cabanas, a tiki bar, and a massive pool on my land. This spa feature will be perfect right here, Eleanor cooed, slashing a big X through my grandmother's rose garden 20 years. I tended those blooms. My blood boiled, but Jacobson grabbed my arm. Not yet. We need more. Oh, how I wanted to charge out, but he was right, wasn't he? Later that morning, my heart still pounding from the night's revelations, I raced to the local historical society where my sweet mom used to volunteer. Oh, how I missed her. The director, Maria, greeted me with a warm hug that felt like home. Your timing is interesting, David, she said with a sly grin, pulling out a dusty folder that practically screamed secrets. Someone from the county just requested all records about your property. Can you guess who? Eleanor Winters? I blurted, my stomach twisting. Maria nodded, her eyes narrowing. Oh, she was real curious, digging to see if any historical claims had ever been filed. I spilled my whole crazy story, my voice shaking with every word. Maria's face darkened like a storm cloud. This isn't new, you know? It happened in Meadowbrook, too. Their HOA president works for the same shady development company as Eleanor. She yanked out a yellowed newspaper article. Bam! Proof in black and white. They turned half that neighborhood into vacation rentals after bullying the original owners out. Disgusting, right? Suddenly, it hit me like a freight train. This wasn't just about some fancy community pool. It was a greedy grab for property values and big development deals. Maria, the first need proof, real proof of the archaeological significance Grandpa always rambled about. I pleaded, desperation dripping from me. She flashed a knowing smile. Oh, your grandfather? He actually donated some artifacts he found on your land. How cool is that? She hauled out a small weathered box, and my jaw dropped. Arrowheads and pottery fragments, ancient treasures glinting in the light. These were cataloged but never fully examined, she said. I could arrange an expert assessment. Want me to? Yes, 1,000 times yes. Back home, my nerves buzzing like a live wire. I spotted Rose tending her garden across the street. Sweet, fierce Rose. They're marking up my land right now. I hollered, my voice cracking with panic. I know, honey, she said, calm as a summer breeze. I've been snapping pictures every hour. Look at this. She whipped out her phone, showing me a gallery of evidence. Oh, she was a genius. Documentation is key, David, she winked. That afternoon, I dialed Vince again, my cousin who's always got my back. Vince, I need 2 things stat. the emergency historical preservation filing process, and any dirt you can dig up on Eleanor Winter's business connections, please. While I waited, pacing like a caged lion, I caught Tyler eyeing me from his yard. "Hey, neighbor," he called, way too chipper. Excited about the new resort, I marched to the fence, fire in my veins. "Why'd you build your deck after Eleanor's survey, but before they announced the boundary changes, huh?" His smarmy smile wobbled. "What? Oh, don't play dumb. The permit for that deck was filed one day after her survey. Quite the coincidence, right? Look, we're just following the official property lines," he stammered, sweat beading on his forehead. "Official lines? You mean the 1952 markers I found this morning? One smack under your hot tub." His face went white as a ghost, and he mumbled something about a call before bolting inside like a scared rabbit. Within minutes, ding, my phone rang, and Eleanor's voice oozed through, sweet as honey. "David, I hear you have concerns about the community project. Aw, poor thing. Why don't you stop by and we can chat?" "Oh, I'd rather talk with everyone there. How about a special HOA meeting?" I shot back, my pulse racing. "That's not necessary. This is already decided," she purred. "Then, so is my next step," I snapped, feeling bold. "Are you threatening me?" Her tone turned to ice chilling. "Just following proper procedures like documenting the original boundary markers your survey magically missed." Silence, deafening silence. "What markers?" she finally hissed. "The ones from 1952. Jacobson found them this morning, surprise." I could practically hear her brain scrambling. "Those old things? They're not relevant to modern surveys." "Oh, really?" "The county assessor's office begs to differ. I just talked to them." Another pause. "Gotcha. We'll discuss this tomorrow. Meanwhile, stay off the common areas," she ordered. "You mean my property?" "I'll be using every inch of it, thanks." I hung up, my chest swelling with strength. "I hadn't felt in weeks. Take that, Eleanor," Vince called back instantly, his voice buzzing with excitement. "You hit a nerve, man. Eleanor just demanded emergency access to all your property records. Freaking out much?" Too late for her way, too late. "I've already flagged my parcel with a preliminary historical review. Notice nothing can be built while that's pending," I crowed. That evening, I invited Rose and Jacobson over, my kitchen table turning into a war room as we spread out maps like battle plans. Headlights flashed across the windows. Oh, someone's here," Rose whispered, peeking through the curtains. "It's Eleanor and the Morgan's troubles knocking." Before I could blink, my phone pinged with neighbor texts. "Are you okay? Saw Eleanor heading your way with the sheriff. Tyler's telling everyone you threatened him. What a liar." Jacobson's face turned grim. "They're escalating, trying to scare you silly. Let them try." I growled, scooping our evidence into a folder. "Bring it on." The doorbell blasted, followed by pounding knocks that rattled my bones. I swung the door open, cool as ice. "Evening, folks. What brings you all here so late?" Eleanor strutted forward, all business. "David, this is Deputy Wilson. We're concerned about your erratic behavior today." "Oh, how worrisome." Tyler nodded like a bobblehead. "You threatened me in front of my family." My jaw hit the floor. "Seriously? That's a flat-out lie. I've got witnesses to our little chat." I pointed to Rose's house, where her security camera stared right at my yard. "Boom." The deputy's face shifted. "Is that so?" Eleanor slid in, smooth as silk. "This isn't just about today. We're worried about David's mental state. He's making wild claims about property lines settled years ago." I laughed, couldn't help it. "Settled? You resurveyed them last month, lady." Samantha piped up, all smug. "He's been obsessed with boundaries since we moved in, always watching us, whining about noise." "Because you built on my property and party till 1 a.m. I fired back, my temper flaring. The deputy raised his hands. "Whoa, slow down. Okay, everyone chill. This sounds like a civil matter, not criminal. Eleanor wasn't done. He's been digging up community land without permission, wrecking landscaping. You mean my land? I thrust the folder at the Deputy Jacobson's survey, the original deed. Photos of the 1952 markers, bam. These prove the HOA's survey is bogus. They're stealing nearly 2 acres of my legal property. The deputy pored over the papers while Eleanor stewed, her silence louder than a scream. Ma'am, he said at last, this looks like a legit property dispute court stuff, not cop stuff. But, she sputtered, unless there's proof of threats or trespassing, my hands are tied, he said, handing me back the folder. Get your lawyers, folks. As they turned to slink away, I hollered, Eleanor, one more thing. Tell your pals at Lakeside Development. The county's launched a historical preservation review on my property effective now. She froze mid-step, caught, then whirled around. How did you know about? She stopped, but too late. The deputy's eyes darted between us. Oh, he knew something was up. Good night, I chirped, slamming the door on Eleanor's stunned face. Sweet victory. Inside rose Jacobson, and I swapped triumphant glances. Yes, but we weren't naive. They'll hit back with lawyers next, Jacobson warned, his voice low. Let them come, I said, tapping the folder. We've got truth on our side, unshakable truth. Rose's lips curled into a tiny smile. And tomorrow, we'll have more. I've got an archaeologist friend lined up to check those artifacts. Maria found game changer. My phone buzzed, Vince. Found the link. Eleanor's husband is CFO at Lakeside Development. They just filed plans for vacation rentals in your neighborhood. Another puzzle piece snapped into place. Holy cow. This wasn't just a pool. They wanted my land for a massive commercial scheme. We've got to warn the neighbors. I cried, adrenaline surging. Already on it, Rose said. Flashing her phone, our neighborhood chat was blowing up with messages about Eleanor's shady ties. A final text pinged from an unknown number. HOA emergency meeting, 7:00 a.m. Tomorrow, all board members required. Jacobson chuckled. Someone's panicking big time. I should have been thrilled, but a chill crept up my spine. They won't quit that easy. Eleanor's too deep in this. As if on cue, blinding lights flared across my backyard, huge construction beams from the Morgan's property, aimed right at my house. What the heck? Jacobson yelped. Rose squinted into the glare. Someone's out there by your shed. I strained my eyes, figures moving, yanking up my boundary flags, those snakes. At 4:30 a.m., a monstrous rumble jolted me awake. Oh no. I stumbled to the window, spotting a giant yellow bulldozer inching toward my back acre. My hands shook like crazy as I grabbed my phone, deed papers, and a flashlight, racing outside in my slippers. Stop them! Stop right now! I bellowed, waving my flashlight like a madman. The bulldozer's headlights blinded me, its gleaming blades slicing through the dark. The operator, a scruffy guy in a hard hat, cut the engine, looking lost. Buddy, I'm just following orders. Got paperwork saying this is HOA property. Your paperwork's trash. I barked, my heart hammering. This is my land, always has been. Grandpa's old warnings about guarding our property lines rang in my ears louder than ever. Headlights sliced through the pre-dawn gloom, sweeping across my yard like a spotlight on a stage as 3 vehicles screeched to a halt. Oh, what now? Eleanor stepped out of her gleaming white Range Rover, strutting in a tailored pantsuit despite the ungodly hour. Seriously, who dresses like that at 4:30 a.m.? Behind her trailed the Morgans, Tyler and Samantha smirking like they'd already won, flanked by 2 mystery men clutching briefcases. Shady much, Mr. Jackson? Eleanor called out, her tight smile dripping with fake charm. I see you're an early riser too. How delightful. You can watch our groundbreaking ceremony. What a treat. My blood boiled, but I held up my phone like a weapon. I've already called Sheriff Davis. He's speeding here now. You're trespassing on my private property, my family's land. Eleanor didn't flinch, coolly unfolding a document from her fancy leather portfolio. Actually, she purred, according to the county survey we commissioned. This land falls within community boundaries. Surprise. We're being oh so generous with the compensation package, aren't we kind? Tyler snickered behind her. A smug little weasel. Time to join the team, Jackson. The resort's gonna skyrocket all our property values. Cha-ching. I planted my feet firm, the damp grass squishing between my toes. Ugh, so cold, and shot back. I filed an emergency injunction yesterday. This land's been in my family for 3 generations, 3. And I've got the original survey markers to prove it's mine. Eleanor's perfectly plucked eyebrows twitched up just a smidge. Caught you. An injunction? How inconvenient. She drawled, turning to one of her briefcase boys. Harold, call Judge Watkins, wake him up if you have to. We're not stopping. Just then, a police siren wailed in the distance. Yes, back up, cutting through the thick tension like a knife. Sheriff Davis, my dad's old fishing pal, rolled up in his patrol car, looking grumpy as all get out. Early mornings clearly weren't his thing. What in tarnation's going on here? He barked, adjusting his belt as he stomped over. Eleanor glided forward, hand outstretched like she was greeting royalty. Good morning, Sheriff. Just a tiny misunderstanding about property lines, nothing to fret over. Nothing to fret over? I echoed, my voice climbing high with outrage. They're trying to steal my land right out from under me. Sheriff Davis squinted between us, sizing up the mess. MAAM, you got permits for this machinery rumbling before 7 a.m. And construction permits for whatever fancy nonsense you're planning? Eleanor's smug smile flickered. Trouble. We have HOA authorization, she chirped, all confidence. That's not what I asked. Davis cut her off, sharp as a whip. County ordinance says no construction before 7 a.m. in residential zones, and where's your permits? I don't see a darn thing displayed. As they bickered, I spotted Rose, my fierce 78-year-old neighbor, hobbling toward us, with a stack of yellowed papers clutched tight. Bless her heart. She'd served on the original HOA board 30 years back before retiring. Eleanor, she called, her voice ringing out stronger than her frail. Little frame should allow wow. You might want to peek at these before you dig yourself into a bigger hole. Eleanor waved her off like she was swatting a fly. Not now, Rose Shoe. But Rose wasn't having it. She marched right past and handed the papers to me, her eyes blazing. Your granddaddy and I prepped for this years ago. The HOA pulled the same slimy trick in '89 with the Henderson property histories repeating itself. I skimmed the pages. Holy cow. Original meeting minutes, proving the true boundaries were locked in with the state, not just the county BAM evidence. Sheriff, I hollered, thrusting the papers forward. I want harassment charges filed now. And get these people and their hulking equipment off my property this instant. Eleanor's phone buzzed right then. She stepped aside to take it, her face darkening like a thundercloud as she listened. Oh, bad news? When she strutted back, her sharp edge was dulled. There appears to be a paperwork conflict, she announced to her posse, voice flat. We'll postpone today's work to sort out these pesky technicalities. Ugh. The bulldozer guy looked like he'd won the lottery, hopping down with relief. So, no work today? Back it up, Eleanor snapped, her patience fraying. As they slunk away, grumbling, I noticed neighbors clustering at my property's edge, wide-eyed and whispering, some even filming it all on their phones. Ha! Caught on camera! Eleanor clocked it too, her eyes narrowing to slits as she stormed to her car. This isn't over, Jackson, she hissed over her shoulder. The board votes tomorrow on our emergency powers. Claus better whip up a decent counteroffer, quick. Sheriff Davis lingered till they peeled out, then turned to me, his gruff face softening. Your dad always warned me the HOAD pulls something sneaky after he passed crazy, huh? You holding up okay, kid? I nodded, but man, the weight of this fight crashed down on me. Am I really alone in this? I'll be fine, I muttered. But I've got to gear up for tomorrow, big day. Rose patted my arm. her touch warm and steady. You're not alone, dear, not by a long shot. Some of us old-timers remember how this community started before folks like Eleanor tried turning it into their personal country club. Ugh! As we stood there, the sunrise painting my yard gold, my phone pinged Jacobson. Found something huge in the county archives. Meet me at 999. Bring coffee, lots of it. I glanced at the neighbors still milling around. Some waved, cheering me on, while others skulked off awkwardly battle lines. Huh? Tomorrow's vote was going to show who's who around here. Nerve-wracking. You can't go in there! Eleanor's assistant squeaked, flailing to block me as I barreled through the double doors of Ridge Community Center too late. Lady, the emergency HOA meeting had kicked off 20 minutes early. Another dirty Eleanor trick. Actually, I can. I shot back, gripping my leather briefcase like a lifeline. Inside, the gold mine from my all-night research binge with Jacobson documents that had flipped this whole mess upside down. Oh yeah. Heads swiveled as I stormed down the center aisle, the room packed tighter than a sardine can. Over 100 neighbors. Some I'd known forever, others newbies lured by Eleanor's resort-style upgrade promises. Suckers. Eleanor stood at the podium mid-sentence, her crimson lipstick screaming against her matching blazer. Power move much? As I was saying before the interruption, the vote to invoke our community enhancement clause needs a 2/3 majority. Hold up! I boomed, cutting her off. Before anyone votes, don't you want to know what you're really signing up for? Her manicured fingers clamped the microphone. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. Mr. Jackson, you're out of order, she barked. We're following Robert's rules here. Oh, rules, huh? Funny you say that. I grinned, popping open my briefcase. I've spent all night digging up just how many you've smashed to bits. Whispers buzzed through the crowd. Gossip alert. I spotted the Morgans up front, Tyler fidgeting with his collar like a nervous kid. Busted. 3 rows back, Rose flashed me a nod. Go get 'em, champ. Point of order! Harold, Eleanor's lawyer buddy, yelped, desperate much. The agenda doesn't allow for... Oh, but the agenda got switched without proper notice. I fired back. Section 5 of your own bylaws demands 72 hours for emergency meeting notifications. No last-minute swaps allowed. Harold's jaw snapped shut. As neighbors murmured agreement. Team David. I strode to the board's table, chest puffed. I request 10 minutes to lay out some game-changing info before any vote. Fair, right? Diana Chun, a board member who'd always been decent despite her Eleanor ties, piped up. I move we let Mr. Jackson speak. Seconded. Voices rang out. Yes. Eleanor's face twisted, but she stepped aside grudgingly. Fine, 10 minutes. I slapped 3 huge maps on the table. Bam, bam, bam. This first gems the original 1952 survey of Maple Ridge. See this winding blue line? That's the creek defining my family's property, ours. It's split private from community land, clear as day. But the 78 flood shifted the creek. Nature's wild, huh? Ancient history, Eleanor scoffed, interrupting rude. Your recent survey, your survey. I cut in, cool as ice, conveniently skips the original boundary markers. State law says those hold firm, flood or not. I unveiled Jacobson's spanking new certified survey, red lines stretching way past their claims. Boom. Per state law and county records, my property covers all this, including land some of you thought was yours. Sorry, not sorry. Gasps erupted. Shock City. That's impossible, Tyler sputtered, pale as a sheet. Oops. Nope, all too real, I said. Your pool? It's 12 feet onto my legal turf. And Eleanor's home edition from last spring? 18 feet over the line. Busted. Eyes locked on Eleanor, her calm mask cracked. Finally. This is absurd, she spat. Our survey was done by your brother-in-law's company, I finished, grinning wickedly. A glaring conflict of interest. Check this ethics complaint I filed with the state licensing board this morning. I handed copies to the board. Take that. But wait, there's more, I said, pulling a plastic bag from my briefcase, stone arrowheads glinting inside. Holy moly. During our legit survey yesterday, we found these babies. County archaeologist says they're about 800 years old, ancient history. Alive. I filed for historical preservation status. Bam. No development within 200 feet of the site. Covering my whole property. Deal with it. The room went dead silent. Pin drop moment. Rose rose from her seat, slow and steady, my hero. I was there when we dug 'em up, she declared. As an amateur archaeologist, I knew they were big-time huge. Diana Chun leapt to her feet. Yes, and announced, I move we slam the brakes on this meeting and freeze all actions on this so-called development until we investigate these bombshell allegations. Full stop. Seconded. Voices roared from the crowd. Team Justice. You can't do this, Eleanor screeched, her voice spiking dangerously. Panic much? We've got deadlines, tight deadlines. What deadlines? Frank demanded. Leaning in, spill it. And what contracts are you yammering about, huh? As the board turned on each other like a pack of wild dogs, I caught Tyler Morgan slinking out a side door, phone glued to his ear. Sneaky rat. Eleanor clocked me watching him, and her eyes turned icy, pure venom. This isn't over, Jackson, not by a long shot, she hissed, a promise dripping with menace. Bring it on. Diana sidled up to me as the meeting melted into chaos, neighbors shouting, chairs scraping. You need to know something big, she whispered, her eyes darting. Eleanor's been schmoozing city officials about rezoning this whole dang area. Crazy, right? Whatever game she's playing, it's way bigger than just your property. Watch your back. I nodded, a light bulb flickering on. Holy cow. That's why she's been so relentless. Thanks for the heads up, seriously, I said, gratitude swelling. Neighbors swarmed me with questions, buzzing like bees. When my phone buzzed, Jacobson. Don't pop the champagne yet, his text warned. Found building permits filed under a different company name. They're targeting Rose's property next. Meet me at the county office ASAP. Hustle. I glanced across the room. Eleanor huddled with Harold and two bored cronies, her lips curling into a sly smile despite the chaos. Whatever she was plotting, this battle was far from one. My gut screamed it. Get off my property now, I bellowed, my voice cracking with fury as Eleanor's sleek car roared into my driveway. Gravel flying like shrapnel. How dare she? The entire HOA board spilled out like angry hornets from a kick nest. My heart thumped wild. I planted my feet on my porch steps, rooted like an oak. We need to talk, Eleanor snapped. Her voice colder than a January wind. She clutched a leather folder so tight. Her knuckles gleamed white. Nervous much? Behind her loomed a twitchy guy in a pricey suit, glancing at his watch every 2 seconds. Pathetic. Mr. Peterson, HOA legal counsel, he mumbled, barely meeting my eyes. Coward. I crossed my arms, defiance blazing. Funny, I was just about to call my lawyer. Oh, and maybe the county assessor, and why not the local news station while I'm at it, huh? Eleanor's face twitched. Gotcha. And the board swapped jittery looks. Busted. Perhaps we could discuss this inside, keep it quiet? Peterson squeaked, his voice wobbling. Really? I shook my head hard. Nah. We'll talk right here out in the open where the neighbors can witness every word. I'm done with your secret meetings and slimy backroom deals. Done. Miss S. Garcia next door was watering her flowers. Yeah, right. Ear cocked our way. Rose had plopped her lawn chair on her porch. Front row seat, locked. Love her. Even old Mr. Jenkins cracked his window. Hearing aid cranked to max. Nosy bunch. Peterson cleared his throat awkward and said, We've reviewed your documentation, hours of it. The board's ready to make a reasonable offer. Pretty generous, huh? Oh, do tell. I shot back. Eyebrow arched. Lay it on me. We drop all claims to your property, Eleanor gritted out, teeth clenched like she was chewing nails. Ouch. In exchange, you waive any claims against the structures currently on your land deal? I laughed loud and sharp. You mean your illegal home addition, sneaky, and the Morgan pool that's 8 feet over my line? Seriously? That's your big offer. A joke? It's more than fair. Board member Keith barked, his face turning tomato red. Chill, dude. Oh yeah? What about the bulldozer that nearly flattened my garden, my roses? The noise violations waking me at all hours? The threats? The lies you fed the community about my land, huh? Peterson edged forward, voice dropping sneaky. Be reasonable. David, we could drag this through court for years. Oh, you could try, I grinned, whipping out my phone, surprise. But I recorded Eleanor barking orders to start construction before the approved date caught on tape. And I've got statements from 3 contractors, saying she told them to ignore my property markers. Boom. Eleanor lunged wild-eyed. You can't prove. Oh, but I can. I cut her off, watching her face drain white priceless. I've got copies of the emails, juicy ones, where you schemed to pressure me into selling. My cousin in county records dug those up gold mine. Did you know improperly filed HOA docs go public after 7 years? Oops. The air thickened tense enough to slice. Peterson whispered frantically to Eleanor, her perfect hair wilting with every hissed word falling apart. Huh? What do you want? She finally spat, defeat seeping in about time. I'd been dreaming of this moment, yes. First, a binding agreement, ironclad with brutal penalties. If you break it, the leisure center goes on the real common land by the front entrance, no excuses. Second, new noise rules enforced, not ignored. Third, you choke out a public apology at the next meeting on your knees if I had my way. Tyler shoved forward, red-faced. Mad much? That's ridiculous. You can't make demands like, oh, I'm not done, I interrupted, calm as a lake. Fourth, I want a seat on the Architectural Review Committee. Power shift. And finally, a fund fully stocked for property line checks for every home here, paid from HOA reserves. Justice. Impossible, Eleanor exploded. Kaboom. We'd have to hike dues. Outrageous. Or trim your fat executive compensation, I suggested. Smirking your move. They huddled, buzzing like a kicked hive. Panic central. Peterson kept shaking his head. No, while Eleanor jabbed her finger at my house. Rude. Mrs. Garcia dropped her hose pretense, staring outright. Caught you. Rose flashed me a thumbs up. My rock. After an eternity felt like years. Eleanor stomped back, her designer heels sinking into my lawn squelch. Fine, she spat, thrusting out her hand ice cold. But this deal's got a non-disclosure clause. No one hears about this mess. I gripped her frigid paw firm and said, too late, lady. The neighbors heard it all, every juicy bit. As they slunk back to their cars, heads low and muttering like scolded kids. I caught board member Keith whispering to Eleanor, why'd we cave to all this? Why? Her hiss sliced through the air sharp. Because he didn't bring up the tax reassessment that hit. If he reported the real property lines to the county, we'd all be toast ruined. I smirked to myself. Oh, the sweet irony. I hadn't even dreamed up that twist. Genius, right? Sometimes the best wins sneak up when you let your foes stew in their own nightmares. Pure gold. Sure, I'd won the battle, hooray. But deep down, a nagging itch told me the war was far from over. Eleanor's eyes as she peeled away. They burned with a vow of vengeance. Chilling. What devious scheme was she cooking up next, huh? My hands trembled. Shake, as I unfolded a crisp certified letter, its official seal staring me down. 6 months had zipped by since our epic showdown, half a year, and Eleanor had vanished from sight. Poof. But the neighborhood buzzed with rumors swirling like crisp autumn leaves. Wild. Some swore she was stockpiling dirt to bury me. Others whispered she'd unleashed private investigators, snooping creeps. Those whispers haunted my nights. No sleep for me. Tonight's HOA meeting loomed. Would she strike now? I scanned the letterhead and gasped. My breath caught hard. The county tax assessor had finished eyeballing all Pinecrest Village properties. Big news. Based on the shiny new surveys, Eleanor's property value had spiked 40%. Whoa. Thanks to her sneaky, unreported improvements spilling onto my land thief. The Morgans got slapped with the same hike. Ouch. While my taxes stayed steady as a rock. Yes, All because of that historical designation Jacobson fought for my hero. Ding dong. My doorbell jolted me eek, and I peeked through the peephole. Tyler Morgan. He stood alone, fidgeting like a kid caught stealing cookies. Nervous much? What do you want? I barked, cracking the door just a sliver wary. Can we talk? He mumbled, looking humbler. Weird. I brought something you gotta see, please. Hesitant should I? I let him in slowly. He plopped a USB drive on my coffee table clink and said, voice hushed, Eleanor's plotting something massive huge. After you made her grovel with that apology humiliating, she flipped, obsessed with revenge. She roped half the board into her secret scheme. Crazy, right? I snatched the drive mine. What's this? Everything, he spilled. Emails, plans, fake evidence she whipped up to trash your property claims dirty. Samantha and I were in on it, shame on us, until we saw how far she'd go too far. Why flip on her now, huh? I squinted, suspicious traitor. Tyler sighed, heavy and sad. That tax reassessment hit us like a truck bam. I begged Eleanor for help, please. And she laughed, calling us acceptable collateral damage in her war on you cold. We've got kids heading to college soon, dreams on the line. We can't bankroll her vendetta games, no way. His eyes locked on mine, pleading. That evening, the HOA meeting room crackled with tension electric. The crowd swelled bigger than ever. Word had spread like wildfire. Something's brewing. I spotted the Morgans parked far from Eleanor, awkward, and she shot them a glare that could melt steel. Yikes. Rose banged her gavel. Whack. Now interim president, go. Rose. Before we dive into regular stuff, she boomed. Miss S. Winters has an announcement, oh boy. Eleanor strutted to the podium, triumph sparkling in her eyes. Smug much? After months of digging, relentless. I've uncovered evidence that'll shock this community. Brace yourselves. She whipped out a folder, dramatic. The property survey that stirred all this mess, built on fraudulent docs scandal. Murmurs rippled. Oh. And my heart galloped, thump, thump. I move we undo every decision tied to these lies and sue. Point of order, I shouted, leaping up. Bam. Before any vote, hold up. The board needs to see this fresh evidence I got today. Game changer. I plugged Tyler's USB into the projector. Click, and Eleanor's face went ghost white, busted. Her own emails flashed on-screen. Schemes to fake evidence against me. Caught. That's not real. She stammered, liar. Straight from your computer, Eleanor. Tyler stood, Samantha beside him, brave. We've got sworn statements, truth, about how you begged us to forge docs. Shameful. The room exploded. Chaos. Board members yelled questions. Answer us, homeowners demanded clarity. What's happening? Amid the madness, I glimpsed Peterson, the HOA lawyer, sneaking out the back. Slippery snake. Rose hammered her gavel. Bang, 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 bang. Order. As acting prez, I move we suspend Mrs. Winters from the board now, pending a full probe. The vote roared unanimous. Accept. Eleanor, frozen in her chair, statue still. As folks trickled out, neighbors who dodged me before swarmed over, chatty. Mrs. Garcia thrust homemade cookies at me. Yum. Old Mr. Jenkins clapped my shoulder, growling. You stood up for us all, hero. These fancy newcomers forget what community's about. Truth. 2 weeks later, boom. A construction crew broke ground on the new leisure center. Smack on the proper community land by the entrance, just like I'd demanded. Yes. New noise rules turned our rowdy hood into a peaceful oasis. Finally. Eleanor? She'd quietly slapped a for sale sign on her house, running away, huh? A knock rattled my door. Rose. She waved a champagne bottle and official papers. Party time. The board voted unanimous, she beamed, proud. You're now chairman of the Architectural Review Committee and the new Property Rights Committee. Double crown. We plopped on my porch, sunset glowing, glasses clinking. Cheers. I never wanted a fight, honest, I confessed, voice soft. I just wanted what's mine. Fair's fair. Rose nodded, wise. Sometimes the slickest trap's not rage, it's patience. You handed Eleanor the rope, and she hanged herself. Brilliant. Twilight draped my land, my legacy. Safe for generations thanks to its protected status, hallelujah. My phone buzzed Vince. University experts tested Jacobson's artifacts, they're real rare. State Historical Society's itching for a preservation grant big time. I laughed loud and free. Grandpa always swore this land was special sacred, but even he couldn't have pictured its true worth, not cash, but community, priceless. The HOA had swallowed my bait whole, greedy fools, charging for what they thought was a slam dunk, blind to the trap I'd set, masterpiece. The sweetest victories don't come from fists, they bloom from smarts. And sometimes, oh, sometimes, justice sneaks in like a gift wrapped in preservation orders. No HOA, not even Eleanor's stubborn grit, can bust through triumph.